Hi everyone, and welcome to the 30th video in the Weather Unlocked video series. Have you ever wondered how snowflakes form or why no two snowflakes are the exact same? Well, if you're looking for a short answer, snowflakes form when water vapor travels through the air and condenses on a particle. Now this begins to form a slowly growing ice crystal, otherwise known as a snowflake. Now you might have heard people say that no two snowflakes are the same. That may be true, but snowflakes share some pretty striking similarities. If you look at all of these examples of snowflakes, they're clearly all different. However, you'll start to notice a pattern, and as you can see, they're all symmetrical in a similar kind of way, and a fancy way to say this is that they all have six-fold symmetry. In other words, if you draw 6 evenly spaced lines out from the center of the flake, you'll notice that the shape on that line is repeated on the other 5 lines. So why do they all have that pattern? And if they all have a similar pattern, why is it so inconceivable that two snowflakes are identical? Now, before we answer those questions, we first need to learn how a snowflake forms. Now, some may think that snow is just frozen drops of water falling from a cloud, but it's actually much more complex than that. A snowflake is formed when water vapor travels through the air and changes from a gas to a solid by condensation on a particle. From there, it slowly grows into a crystal. There are two basic ways that vapor can condense, and both play a big role in the shape that the snowflake will eventually take. The first way is to form a facet, which is a flat face on a 3D shape like a prism that forms naturally when a crystal grows. In ice crystals, the shape these facets take mirrors the shape of the molecules forming the crystal. And since the crystal structure of frozen ice is a six-sided shape, the facet becomes six-sided as well. And that makes the snowflake symmetric. The second way to grow a snowflake is to form branches, which is what creates those tree-like structures. And these branches form because water vapor tends to condense on the first thing it touches. So if there's a small bump on a flake's surface, the vapor will condense onto that bump instead of traveling any further. That makes the bump get bigger, making it more likely to catch more water vapor. The process then repeats itself until a branch is formed. Now to visualize that a bit further, ice crystals condense around a tiny particle like the one you see here. The condensing water then forms a prism with facets. Branching can then begin off of those facets if the conditions are right, and then facets can then further form on those branches, again, if the conditions are correct, with the whole process repeating itself. Now, while snowflakes generally start as a prism with 6 facets, its growth can actually switch back and forth between creating facets and forming branches, and both processes can actually occur at the same time. The tiniest changes in both the temperature and the amount of water in the air can change how the molecules act and how they condense. So imagine a growing snowflake in a cloud. As it blows back and forth, it experiences many changing conditions. There's different temperatures and moisture levels at the different parts of the cloud, with tons of different conditions at the microscopic level. And the order that the snowflake experiences those changes and how long each set of conditions lasts can determine the shape that it makes. So how likely would it be for two snowflakes to experience the same exact conditions all the way down to the microscopic level? Astronomically unlikely, and that's why you'll never find two truly identical snowflakes. So that concludes this video on how snowflakes form, so make sure to stay tuned for future videos in the Weather Unlocked video series.